36 The teachings of the Lord of the Second Coming. Introduction to Restoration. The providence of restoration refers to God's work to restore human beings to our original, unfallen state, so that we may fulfill the purpose of creation. As discussed in Part 1, human beings fell from the top of the growth stage and have been held under Satan's dominion ever since. 1. To restore human beings, God works to cut off Satan's influence. Yet, as was explained in Christology, we must have the original sin removed before we can sever Satan's bonds and be restored to the state before the fall. This is possible only when we are born anew, through the Messiah, the true parent. To explain further, we first need to go through a course to separate Satan from ourselves. We do this in order to restore ourselves in form to the spiritual level, which Adam and Eve had reached before the fall, the top of the growth stage. On this foundation, we are to receive the Messiah and be reborn, and thereby be fully restored to the original state of human beings before the fall. Finally, by following the Messiah, we should continue our growth to maturity, where we can fulfill the purpose of creation. Since the providence of restoration is God's work of recreation, which has as its goal the fulfillment of the purpose of creation, God works this providence in accordance with his principle. In the course of the providence of restoration, this principle is called the principle of restoration. Let us study how the providence of restoration is to be accomplished. Section 1. The principle of restoration through indemnity. 1.1 Restoration through indemnity. Before discussing the principle of restoration through indemnity, we must first understand in what position, due to the fall, human beings came to stand in relation to both God and Satan. If the first human ancestors had not fallen, but had reached perfection and become one in heart with God, then they would have lived relating only with God. However, due to their fall, they joined in a kinship of blood with Satan, which compelled them to deal with him as well. Immediately after the fall, when Adam and Eve had the original sin, but had not yet committed any subsequent good or evil deeds, they found themselves in the midway position between God and Satan, where they were relating with both. As a consequence, all their descendants are also in the midway position. Take, for example, a person in the fallen world who does not believe in Jesus, but leads a conscientious life. As long as he leads a virtuous life, Satan cannot drag him into hell. Yet God cannot bring him to paradise, either, as long as he does not believe in Jesus.